Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our second window of the Junior Money Exploration Fund. With me here, I have my colleagues from IDC, as well as the Council for Geoscience who have joined online. We set aside 2 hours for this webinar, so we'll try to be as quick as possible so we can get to the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. I hope you can all hear me clearly and you can see the slides. So just some house rules, colleagues online, please do keep your microphones on mute, as well as your cameras as well, also to be disabled. We will take questions at the end of the presentation, so please drop your questions in the chat. Our team here will answer the questions and we'll try our best to answer all the questions at the given time. So just in terms of the agenda for today, we'll give a background about the fund, exploration in South Africa. We'll have a look at this particular window, being window 2, bearing in mind that we did have window 1, which was launched last year June. We'll take you through our competitive features, so how do you stand out amongst the many applications that we receive. We'll then discuss how to apply our evaluation process, and as discussed earlier, our Q&A at the end of the presentation. So to get us started, just a bit of a background, understanding why we have this Junior Money Exploration Fund. South Africa spends about $100 million on exploration yearly. That is very minuscule in comparison to other mining jurisdictions like Canada and Australia, which spend well above $2 billion per annum. So in light of this and our declining investment in exploration, the DMRE, now since changed to DMPR, then underwent the process of developing a exploration strategy, working together with industry. And essentially, that strategy aims to attract 5% of global exploration expenditure. So in rand terms, 5% of global exploration expenditure is about 12 billion rands per year. So quite a sizable amount of money required for us to reach that 5%. And hence the creation of this Junior Mining Exploration Fund. The fund was officially launched last year, February, so it's been over a year now. It's co-funded between the DMPR rather, and the IDC, as well as the Council for Geoscience, who is a technical partner to the fund. We launched our first window last year.
Isikhathi sesisithi ungaholi yabo, bathi ke mina angiyi ngisho ungangitholeli ulift uthi ngihambe noBenjamin, angiyi. Benjamin nje akakhulile.
No. Apologies for that, colleagues. Just a reminder, please do keep your mics on mute. So colleagues, again, the fund is a partnership between the DMPR, the Council for Geoscience, and IDC, who acts as the fund manager for the fund. We now have our second window, which is the value of 240 million rands. It was launched on September 30th, closing on the 31st of this month. We've increased our threshold. So previously you would have seen we had a minimum of 5 million to 45 million. Based on our lessons from window 1, we've since increased that to 10 million and 50 million being the maximum amount you can apply for. The structure still remains as a convertible grant, essentially meaning that if we jointly explore and is a viable ore body, we will then convert that grant into equity. And it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and this will be agreed upfront at the signing of the agreement. No fees will be charged to the grant recipient, and those will then be borne by the fund. What are we looking for? So similar to window one, the applicant must be more than 50% black owned. It must be a South African registered company in possession of a valid prospecting or mining right. As you could see, colleagues, we've extended this to mining rights. Previously, we were only covering prospecting rights. Our view there is that there may be applicants who hold mining rights, but still are involved in advanced exploration. It must be for exploration activities within our borders, so within South Africa. And we'll go through our target minerals, which have changed from our first window. Just a reminder again, colleagues, please also ensure that you execute your right. On your screen, you have a list of activities which we fund. This includes drilling and lodging, rock sample analysis, geophysics, geochemistry studies, geotech assessments, geohydrological studies, environmental studies, and all of these moving up towards your CPR. We also fund advanced activities. That's, like we said, where there's requirement to do further resource definition, statistical testing, EIA assessments, permitting, energy compliance, as well as feasibility studies. So we fund up until PFS and feasibility study stage. We don't fund PFS for this particular funding. So on your screen, we have our target minerals for window 2. As you will see, we've continued with copper and lithium from window 1. We've also added gold, antimony, arsenic, fluorspar, tin, tungsten, titanium, and uranium. These are in line with the government's critical minerals strategy. So ensure that your prospecting right or your mining right has these target minerals. If they don't, then your application will not be considered. Colleagues, again a reminder, please keep your mics on mute. So for the purposes of the fund, how we define a junior miner, it must be a non-listed private company. In South Africa, you must be in possession of a valid prospecting or mining right, involved in greenfield or brownfield exploration, with a direct or indirect ownership of at least 51% as defined in the BBE Act. So how do you stand out? In our first window, we received 119 applications, so it's quite competitive. Of those 119, we only selected eight beneficiaries. What's really important is that first pillar being your geology. So the Council for Geoscience will assess the potential quality of your application, the area in which you are looking to explore. This must be in line with what they have on their data sets, the Council for Geoscience. So, I mean, for example, if you're looking to explore for gold in Western Cape, it would be a very difficult sell. We must know something we don't, because from our understanding, the Western Cape is not a province that's rich in gold. So following that by the CGS, we'll then look at your exploration plan or your prospecting works program. If it's practical, the timeframes. If there is a need for you to revise your PWP, please indicate that. But it still should be in line with what was being submitted to the GMPR. But understand that geology knowledge of the does change. So please revise it within the scope of your approved prospecting right. So again, this concept of geoscience will then assess your prospecting risk program to see that it's practical, the timeframes, as well as the service providers you submit as part of your application. The cost should be realistic, and this is both in terms of it shouldn't be overstated or understated. We did have applicants in the first window that grossly understated the cost of the situation plan. So do not provide what is unrealistic. So sort of undervaluing the work is not a competitive approach. Ensure that it's in line with industry standards and costs. Management teams, please also do submit a management team in line with what we intend to carry out. And should you be funded, we do expect to see this team be part of the project. So please don't rent CVs for the purpose of
I don't know if you can help, because remember you are going to be.
Colleagues, another reminder on your mics. Sure. Lastly, transformation is a very important objective of the fund. We not only look at Black ownership, but also women ownership and youth ownership as well. And the expectation is to have meaningful participation of Black people in the Lastly, how to apply. You're welcome to visit the IDC website. That first point is the web address to be able to access the terms of reference, the application form. Please submit all your applications via email at jmef@idc.co.za. Ensure that you have all the required documents as part of your application. In case where the file is too large, please do make usage of Google Drive, Dropbox, or OneDrive, and include the passwords. I think that's very important because we have, again, through our lessons in window one, there were applicants who did not provide us with the passwords by close of date, and it makes it difficult for us to then consider those applications if we do not have access to them by the close of date. So please ensure that you also provide us with the passwords if you're using any of those platforms. And lastly, please do not send via WeTransfer files. Evaluation process is done in 3 phases. The first phase is for us to sift out all the incomplete applications, and there was quite a number of them from window one. This might be a case where you have not submitted required documents, for example, your prospecting right. So please ensure that you submit all the required documentation. Again, I would encourage that you try and submit before close of date. Please do not leave it for the last day, because should you encounter any challenges with submitting, you are unable to extend the submission date past what has been communicated. So please do ensure that you have all your required documents submitted on time before the closing date. The second phase, after we've then sifted out the incomplete or non-eligible applications, we then have a due diligence process that's led by the concept of geoscience, which will look at the features I discussed earlier. The IDC will also conduct a FICA as well as a risk assessment, the check on the applicants. We'll then rank the applications based on geology and financial due diligence, and then those will then be proposed to the grant fund approval committee. That is the final decision-making committee. They have the final say on the applicants. Should you then be successful at that stage, and there may be a phase where we ask for additional information under phase 2. But should you then be approved for selection, we'll then enter into a negotiation with the selected beneficiaries based on the contracting terms. And if all is well, we'll then sign a agreement with that beneficiary. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Again, we launched this fund February last year. We've done quite a bit of work in between then and now, and this will not be the last window. We are engaging with private sector to increase the fund and have additional windows going forward, which will look at other minerals. So if your mineral is not included in this particular window or window 1, please do not be discouraged. There will be future windows as we increase this junior mining exploration fund. I'll pause there. I have my colleagues at IDC and CGS online. We are happy to take your questions. I'll take the teams and the questions that through the chat box. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I see somebody's raised their hand. Please post your question in the chat box. We disabled all microphones, so please just post your question in the chat box.
So yes, we do find joint venture initiatives as long as they're eligible as per our requirements, and the applicant should be the prospecting right holder. So yes, we do find joint venture initiatives.
And then there's a request for us to share the slides. We will put it up on the website, same website where you joined the link. The slides will be available there. There's a question on, do we fund coal?
So we don't fund coal in this particular window. That is not to say that we will not be funding coal in future windows, but given the limited scale of the funding, we are targeting certain minerals per window. But as we grow the fund, we will consider coal going forward.
Then are we allowed to submit an intention for an SPP with a proposed shareholding that meet the requirements?
No. So at the time of submission, that structure should be in place.
And can a sworn affidavit be submitted in place of DEE? First, that is true for the small qualifying enterprises. So then you can submit the sworn affidavit. You need to be VAT registered. No, you don't need to be VAT registered. As long as your tax affairs are in order. The SARS compliance document is the next question. Yes, you must submit your SARS compliance document as well. Is there a minimum threshold for the list of certain commodities?
Yes, so
for example, if you have a manganese deposit with copper contained, would disqualify?
So if, as per your prospecting right, copper is included and it's one of your target minerals for exploration, you are able to apply with that prospecting right. The minimum amount you can apply for is 10 million, the maximum being 50 million. So yes, if it's part of your prospecting right, it's a target mineral, then we're able to then consider that application. And sorry, before you go, we also do welcome multiple applications from the same company. However, we look at them at a individual level, and we're only able to fund one application per window. So if you're submitting 5 applications with 5 different prospecting rights, we'll look at all of them, and if you are successful for more than one, you can only fund one project per.
So Lisa's question is about management and leadership requirement. Can you please kindly elaborate more on that requirement in terms of what the expectation is, especially around qualifications and experience?
So, given that this is with regards to exploration, what we're typically looking for within your management team or your service providers is people who have experience in carrying out work of this nature. It is advantageous to have a geologist as part of your team.
And then Pumza asks, please give an indication of when the third window of applications will be opening.
Difficult to say at this stage when window 3 will be opening. I would advise that you keep in touch with the IDC website and announcements, but definitely will be in the coming year, so next year, not this year.
Any assistance in prospecting rights?
If you're referring to assistance with applying for prospecting rights, I think then you're welcome to visit one of our regional offices. This fund doesn't fund application of prospecting rights. So yeah.
How far can you fund and to what extent? We've covered that between 10 million and 50 million.
And all activities up until feasibility studies.
For the conversion of the grant to equity, will there be any further financing available for the extraction?
I think what's good is that IDC being a part of this fund, they can potentially look at the project for further on funding. So I think IDC being a partner does open a window for funding post feasibility studies.
In the event, and maybe just to add to that, sorry, before I go to the next question, IDC, I mean, we wouldn't convert or take up the shareholding if we're not interested in the project. And if we're interested in the project, we will fund it. So I think when we get to that point, there'll be further negotiations. In the event where you are waiting to get your license, what alternative document can you attach?
Yeah, so we're only able to accept, granted prospecting rights, granted mining rights, or if you're in the process of converting from prospecting rights to mining rights, that's still something you can look at. But if you do not have a license at all, we are unable to consider that application. We'll have to run through the process of being granted.
You fund people with accepted letters of prospecting rights?
No, so only granted, not accept acceptance letters.
The owner says, I have all the documents, but I don't have any money for drilling. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, so I think then if you have the target minerals, you meet the required thresholds, then you're more than welcome to apply for the fund. We do cover drilling activities as per this funding.
Is the company only limited to funding for one PR, or can we apply for more than one?
So you're welcome to apply with multiple PRs, but if you are selected, we can only fund like one PR per company.
If we're prospecting multiple minerals, do we apply for funding for each separately? Separate application for each PR?
No. So one application for each PR, and you can list the qualifying minerals as part of your target minerals.
How do we apply for mining rights?
you're welcome to visit the DMPR's regional offices for assistance with applying for a mining right or a prospecting right.
Is it possible to extend the closing date as we are awaiting execution of the prospecting right? Any idea when the future windows will open?
If you have a granted prospecting right, you are able to apply for that while you are busy with execution. So you won't be disqualified for applying with a granted right. However, by the time of disbursements, we will need you to have a executed right.
Yeah, then there's the PIC early stage mining is referring us to JET, and they fund manganese. Is there any relationship with you and PIC early stage mining? No, not at this stage, but we will be engaging with them. Is there another vehicle in IDC which funds other minerals in case our exploration rights are other minerals, i.e. manganese? Yeah, just from IDC's perspective now, we don't fund exploration as such, but if you have a competent persons report, you can speak to our project development department and they can help you take the project forward if it is something that makes sense in terms of our strategy around those minerals. What is the estimated timeline of the evaluation process?
Yeah, so it will be guided by the volume of applications that we receive. But our intention is to complete our assessments and selection by end of February and contracting by the end of March. But I think we are happy to work over Christmas to try and push this as quickly as possible. But again, we are guided by the volume of applicants. Window 1, we received 119 applications off of six commodities. So I think given the expansion of the commodities, we do expect a higher volume of applicants. But I think we're quite comfortable now with our processes. So it should go much faster than window 1.
And then there's 2 questions around prospecting rights in JVs. So I think this first one covers it. Do you fund a JV application where the prospecting right is held by one entity and not both of them, but they will conduct the project together?
So that's something we can consider as long as the right holder is the applicant for the funding, and you can submit your structure. We'll look at it and evaluate its merit.
There's another question on accepted letters. We've covered that. Average turnaround time for funds to be paid out.
So disbursements are going to be milestone based. So upon awarding and contracting with the fund, you will then be put in touch with the Council for Geoscience to look at the exploration plan. This may or may not be revised based on their perspective. You then agree on a implementation plan. Then it will then be dispersed based on certain milestones. So we don't disperse the full 50 million at one go. Based on the plan, there will be disbursement milestones.
And we'll be dispersing directly to service providers. We do allow for a little bit of admin expenses to be dispersed directly to the applicant, but the bulk of the funding will be paid directly to the service providers. Here's an interesting one. If I have multiple prospecting rights and have applied for a mining right covering all that has been accepted, can I apply?
Yes, I don't see an issue with that.
There's you guys advertising their services. Lost it. Anyone on the call who would like to partner with a geologist, require assistance with putting up to prospecting right plan, please reach out, whatever. Please repeat the issue of applying with a right that is granted but not yet executed.
If you have a granted right, you are able to apply and will accept your application. However, should you be awarded, a condition of disbursement will be for your right to be executed. So that's only when you will then be able to disperse to you. If it's granted, we will consider. Like I said, please do ensure that you execute the right. So we won't disqualify you for not having it executed, but at the point of contracting, you will need it to be executed, because it then becomes a legal binding asset.
How many applicants are you looking at approving for window 2?
Again, difficult to say. It's based on the applications that we receive. We have 240 million to spend, so we're guided by the applications. We can't say at this stage as to how many applicants will be selected.
For an entity that's already operational, would you require audited annual financial statements? Yes, but we will consider in cases where they are reviewed, independently reviewed, but in general, we will require audited financials. Given the importance of manganese to the current and future EV battery chemistry, is there a plan to add this commodity to the list of commodities?
The answer is yes. In future windows, coal, manganese, and other minerals identified in the critical minerals strategy will be considered.
Can more than 2 applicants be approved for funding on a similar mining right targeting same mineral, although exploration is targeting a different farm? Yeah. So if it's more than one applicant that apply, that have similar mining rights targeting the same minerals, but it's different areas, different farms. Yeah, no, that should be fine. Okay, it's another advertisement. Do you have contact details of the IEC project department, as I cannot see them on the website? Yeah, it's called Industry and Project Development, IPPD. So they should be on the website. Excuse me. So just have another look. If you can't find, just put in a general inquiry, and they'll refer you to the correct business unit.
I'm not sure if Asina's on the line. If he wants to share some tips or from the CGS side, Asina, or if you're covered.
Let's see what's on there.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to remind everybody that they will be able to access the presentation on the day.
So yeah, so we will share the presentation on the Junior Mining Exploration Fund website, and the link is via the IDC website, but I'm sure the links will also be on CGS's website and on the NPR's website.
There also is an email address where you can send your inquiries. So just above the IDC logo, you can send inquiries and questions to jbf@idc.co.za, and we'll try our best to respond to those questions.
That looks like it for now.
Thank you so much, colleagues, for joining this webinar. We look forward to your applications. Again, if there's any other questions which we haven't covered, please do visit the IDC website, the frequently asked questions section, or you can send through an inquiry at jmef@idc.co.za. With that, I'd like to thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.